Welcome to episode 3 in our year-long partnership with CSCS. 30 years old or 30 years young, however you want to look at it. Sean, CEO of CSCS, back in the studio. Last week, the topical labourers card. This week, industry accreditation. Might be a bit easier this week, Sean, I think, after the last one. So let's go straight into it. What is or was, just to clear up, industry accreditation? Let's get that clear.
Yeah, so in industry accreditation was a card issued on the basis of an employer endorsement. They didn't need to supply a qualification evidence as part of us issuing the card.
A reference.
Yeah, and that was in play up until 2010. Rules that would then came in from the CLC as part of the 2015 One Logo initiative made it clear that this was about upskilling the workforce, and therefore individuals needed to evidence their qualification base there as part of their skills. So there was clear communication from 2020 that by the 31st of December 2024, anybody that was able to obtain a card under IA, industry accreditation, would cease that ability from the 31st of December. So that's why it's now not an option. It wasn't an option from the middle of last year. They couldn't renew from the middle of last year. And anybody now that is still not got to that qualification base can obtain an experienced worker card, but they need to be qualified by the end of the year.
So why did you take the decision to withdraw these cards under IA?
So the decision and instruction was from the Construction Leadership Council to us and all card schemes that it's qualification based, and therefore we're the actor to follow that instruction. So that's what we've been doing. Communicating the fact that it's been withdrawn, therefore take action so that you can be carded on the right card for the right job.
Now, just to be clear, we do have the viewers' questions at the end, because grandfather writes, we've had a few, and I think the great thing is we're sitting down and we're going to get these questions answered for you. Okay, so 20 years plus experience in the industry. Suddenly, Dave, Terry, whoever's told you need a qualification. There's a lot of anger towards this. What advice would you give them? Because it's tough being told, show us what you can do after 20 years.
Yeah, so with some individuals that had an IA card, they actually have a qualification, and therefore they just need to surface that information to us, which will get them the right card for that qualification. Might not have been the black card they were holding, but it will give them carded access. So that's the first element. The second, that they may have some academic qualifications that would entitle them to an AQP or a professional qualification, which will entitle them to a PQP card. So go back to what you have got to apply and use that in the first instance. If you haven't got any qualification for evidence, then you need to be able to demonstrate the qualification at the end of it, and that process and the funding available is now been extended by CITB to enable those individuals to go through an assessment process.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. If I've worked with quite a majority over the years that have probably been doing it way longer than I was, 20, 30 years. No qualification. Right, you're going to college. And this actually is one of the questions. Who's paying my wages when I take time off and have to travel to sit these shit exams? That was the question.
Right. You don't need to go back to college. In the majority of cases, not all, but in the majority of cases, this will be a site-based assessment process, because you're demonstrating your skills and site. You'll be assimilating evidence, and I think we discussed this last time around briefly. Photographic evidence and everything else of what you do, and that you're doing it to standard. So
that's a key point, because another question: I'm not very good at writing, so this isn't fair.
Yeah. This isn't about going back into a learning environment. You've got those skills. You're just evidencing. Therefore, you get the qualification base at the output.
That point's key, because a lot of people are saying, "I ain't going back to college."
Yeah.
Or I'm not going into a classroom.
Yeah. No. In the majority of cases, that is how the assessment piece works. And as I just said on the previous question, CITB have extended the funding to end of March next year, 2026, which is unprecedented, in order for those 17,000 remaining individuals.
Is that what the number is about?
Yeah.
So we can't afford, my view, and I might be totally wrong, but this is me being me, they're doing that because we can't afford to lose anyone else.
Well, we don't want to lose anybody. And because of building safety, it's
paramount now.
It's important. And we started with around about 100,000 IA cards back into 2015. We're talking about 26,000 card holders across the 37 schemes, 17,000 of which are within our scheme. So 3/4 of all those that were carded have gone through that journey already.
We kind of looked at it, but I said to everyone that wrote in, again, not really a question regarding sitting these exams, I can't afford it. Let's just clear that up.
Yeah, so as I've just said, CITB funding £1,500 contribution to these assessments. In order to get on site, which we talked about last week, having a labourer card, you are going to be challenged, especially if you're doing a skilled role. So have the right card for the skilled role.
Brilliant. It just perfectly ties into the last question. What if my employer doesn't ask for the card and lets me work on site?
Well,
because this is happening lots.
So the onus is on the employer, because they're the ones that've got to evidence that they've got the individuals with the right skills on the job. And under building safety regulations, they're the ones that are going to be checked at the end of the day. Industry expectation is individuals are carded at the right level, the right skill, the right job, right card.
So really, this bit here is probably another episode. It's the management of individuals and their cards on site.
Yeah. So that I think we're going to be talking about Smart Check, and Smart Check is the tool to help site managers understand the individual that's just presented to them and the skills they've got.
Sean, thanks for this week. Please do keep questions coming in. We've obviously got a year-long partnership. We're going to be back in the studio again soon. We're looking at different topics, different subjects. So if you do have questions, as you can see, I've just read them out. Let's give you, the viewer, an opportunity to ask Sean a question. He's answered them, which has hopefully cleared things up. There's obviously a long way to go, but please do keep all the questions coming in.